16 teams remaining in the NCAA tournament. They call it the Sweet 16.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. I'm Tom Vandervoort here to talk with Ryan Fagan, our college basketball writer, about the South region. On Friday, Baylor, the number 3 seed, going up against Xavier, who made it all the way through. What do you see in this matchup, Ryan?
Well, you see a team that has proven its mental toughness in Xavier in one side, and then the other side you have a team that
maybe hasn't.
Toughness has been questioned for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, Xavier's been in the Sweet 16 4 times in the last 5 years. That's not an accident. You know, and a lot of the same players, you know, especially the star guard, Tu Holloway, you know, that's a big reason for it. You know, they've got a toughness. You know, and Xavier's a team, they lost their confidence, and Tu Holloway even admitted as much. After the brawl with Xavier, they were missing players because of suspension, and then they lost a couple games anyway, and they just didn't seem like they knew what they were doing.
Right.
Well, they found their way late in Atlantic City in the A-10 tournament, and then the biggest plus for Xavier, I think, coming out of Greensboro was the emergence of Kenny Freese. Here you've got a 7-foot, 275-pound center who's never been quite as dominant as you thought he could be. Well, he had 25 points and 13 rebounds against Lehigh and was an absolute beast in the middle.
And that's
Lehigh
just being assertive on his part.
It is, and it's part of it is they got on the ball early, and he was aggressive early. He was good early.
Right.
And I think that's the thing. If he can establish himself early and establish that little bit of confidence, you know, I think he could be, you know, he's the type of player who needs to have a big game against Baylor's bigs.
Yeah, talk about Perry Jones, and obviously you got Quincy Miller, Quincy AC. You have a lot of talent on that team.
You have a lot of talent on the team, but the reason they're in the Sweet 16 is the little shooter, Brady Heslop. You know, I think he hit 5 3-pointers in the first game, 9 in the second game. When you have 14 threes in the first 2 games
that helps.
In the tournament, you know, it's not a bad feather to have in your cap. And this isn't the guy who has to carry him. So when you've got this complementary piece, I mean, he's a one-trick pony. Let's call it what it is. I think, you know, he took 2 shots in the first 2 games that weren't 3-pointers. But right now, when he's shooting the ball like this, that makes Baylor just a very dangerous.
If you're a one-trick pony, that's a pretty good trick to have.
It's a good trick to have, and when he's doing that trick better than anyone else is doing their tricks in this tournament.
Okay, so ultimately, Baylor's talent maybe, or Xavier's toughness, which wins out?
You know, it's a good question. It really is, and I mean,
can you see Baylor walking into the Elite Eight here?
I don't see them walking into it. I can see them having to fight their way into it, you know, but I don't know that the way that Xavier's, with their resiliency, You're
picking Xavier is what I'm hearing you say,
I think
Ryan.
I'm kind of getting to that, you know. I think that Xavier's going to be a really tough out.
All right, now on the other side of the bracket, Kentucky, Indiana, rematch there. You got to know Kentucky's going to be motivated, having lost to Indiana earlier. Can the Hoosiers handle the Wildcats?
I think they can, but I think you look at this game, and from the first time they met, both teams are significantly better, are more mature. You know, that was early in the season. Both of them had a lot of young type players, guys growing into roles.
Right.
We've seen Anthony Davis go from that game to the best player in college basketball. You know, we've seen Cody Zeller, the Indiana freshman, really become a dominant type player, you know, in terms of scoring and rebounding. We've seen, you know, Christian Watford has been great for Indiana, you know, at times this year. You know, we've seen all these things. You know, Indiana's going to miss Verdell Jones, who injured was out for the year a couple games ago. His toughness is going to be a thing, but this is just going to be a fascinating game. And the only thing we really want is for the game to be as exciting as the first one.
Okay, so can Indiana handle Anthony Davis? And how about the point guard Teague? He had a great game last game.
He did, you know, and Teague is another guy. We talk about maturation and guys who have gotten better over the course of the season. I think that Marcus Teague is very definitely one of those guys, you know, and he needs to have a big game defensively. You know, he needs to make sure he stays out on the Indiana shooters. You know, Jordan Hulls, Indiana's point guard, hasn't shot the ball so well over the last month, but he's capable, you know, of doing, you know, what Brady Heslop has done, you know, and hitting a bunch of threes in the game. So they really need to make sure they stay out on those shooters.
Now, if I pin you down to a pick, Kentucky or Indiana in this one?
You know, I think I would have gone with Kentucky to go straight to the title game without any problem, without facing Indiana. I'm still going to pick Kentucky, though.
Yeah, it's just pretty hard to see picking against Kentucky. All right, that is our look at the South region. For Ryan Fagan, I'm Tom Vandervoort. We'll see you next time.